Hello everyone, welcome to Aston University's virtual open day. Welcome to the marketing talk. I've just got a couple of pieces of housekeeping to go through with you before we get started. If you'd like the captions for this session, please click on CC at the bottom of the screen and you'll be able to add in captions. Please just be aware that this session will be recorded and we can share this with you as soon as the session has ended. If you have any questions, please ask them throughout this talk using the Q&A tab on your screen. We can answer all of your questions at the end of the session. You can also ask a private question. So if you want to ask a private question, please include private at the end of your message. This means that we won't publish your question to the wider chat, and we'll also respond to you in private using the messaging system. I'm going to introduce you to your speakers today. So you'll hear from Natalie, who is the Programme Director. You'll also hear from Andrew, who is a lecturer on the course. And later on, you'll hear from Amber and Emily, who are students on the marketing course, and they'll be able to give you a little bit more of an insight into student life. So first of all, I'm going to pass you over to Natalie, who will explain a bit more about the course in general.
Hello, everybody. My name is Natalie Ormrod. I am looking forward to welcoming you at Aston University, and especially in the Department of Marketing and Strategy. Now, this course is contemporary, is dynamic. It has a lot to offer to the students. So come with me and let's have a look at this. Okay, so here we go. This is Aston Business School, and we are, as you can see, triple accredited, which means that we are amongst 1% of all business schools worldwide to have Triple Crown accreditation. So this is extremely important because basically it means that we are on top of our games, and that we do respect some criteria such as sustainability, ethics, etc. And we are basically amongst the top research universities as well. So 5 years after graduating on our program, our graduates usually earn an average of £35,900. So that was based on 2018. So it means that we are confident that we are actually preparing our marketing students to be employable and to find some exciting jobs out there. And you will hear this from our students, Amber and Emily, today. Now, in 2017, we were also given the gold rating for teaching excellence, the teaching excellence framework. So we are really approachable. We keep also on top of our games. We read the press. We know what's happening in the current environment, and we feed all this in our lectures as well. So we are really, really an essential part of the environment, the employment environment, but also society at large. Also, if some of you are international students, then we offer free language tuition for all of our students. And again, most of the program is online, but there are a lot of activities also to do on the campus. If I move to the next section. So if you are here today, it's because you are ready to embark with us on your 4-year journey for your degree in marketing. The BSc Marketing at Aston Business School is a 4-year program. So it means that you're going to be with us for 3 years of academic study. But then at the end of your 2nd year, you will be requested to do a placement year after that year. So we will obviously prepare you for this. We are constantly liaising with employers. We know the skills they're after, and basically our students usually find this opportunity really very exciting, and if they do not have the possibility, the links, the network to find placements themselves, then our career office is extremely dynamic there, and will help you find that placement. We are connected to a lot of businesses across the region. Aston is really an employers, has a great employers network. Now, this is basically the equivalent of 8 single modules per year. So that placement year will be an integral part of your entire program with us. So let me take you now through the program. Now, that program has been entirely refreshed, and again based on what's happening out there. So in your first year, you will have 3 wholly dedicated marketing modules: contemporary marketing principles, digital and social media marketing, and marketing psychology, which will focus on customer behavior. So those are essentials to give you the right foundations in marketing. Now, on top of that, you will also find other students being other groups as well, because we want you to have a good, solid business background, foundation to the entire program. So you will also learn about economics, accounting for business, organizational behavior, law for business, as well as operations management. So those 8 modules will really ground you into a solid business and marketing program in order for you to really continue well over the next years. And each module is worth 15 credits. So it means that you will have 2 hours lectures and 1 hour seminar throughout the week. So this is how we will build our teaching with you in 2021. Now, in the second year, you will have 4 modules, 4 core modules. So here you will learn about fundamentals of strategy, marketing analytics tools, which are extremely important in marketing today, market research, which will be led by Andrew, who is going to talk, to present marketing, do a taster session for you afterwards, and then responsible marketing for business. And then the options will enable you to start specializing in areas that you are feeling closer to or more interested, more driven to. So 21st century marketing communications, because we know that it is such a developing area at the moment, contemporary sales skills, dynamic content marketing, which a lot of our placement students do as well, which is basically communications, creating content and communications, especially through social media, events and public relations, impactful sports marketing, or services marketing and management. So thanks to that diet of options, that choice, you will be able to start creating a profile, a unique profile for yourselves, or you could also opt to basically develop your expertise in different ways and different subjects. Now, after that second year, you will have your placement opportunity. Now, that can take two aspects. Either you will work for a company, and it could be a very big company. One of the students I visited on site worked for TK Maxx, for instance, or it could be a smaller company. For instance, this year I visited one of my students in estate agents, and he really loved this role because he had to revisit their entire marketing strategy, which was really, really good. When you work for a smaller business, whatever you do will have a direct impact, direct meaning really for the company. But this year I also visited one of my students at Boohoo for men fashion. So we really have a huge selection of companies that you could join during that placement program, that placement year. But if you decide not to go for a placement, you could also opt for a study abroad option. And all our partners provide programs entirely in English. So in that case, you could decide, instead of doing a placement, to go abroad. So you could go to North America, you could go to South America. You can see all the list of the countries there and the partners with whom we have forged very strong relationships. You also have a lot of partners in Europe, as you can see here, Australia and New Zealand as well. And we've got partners in Asia as well. So as an international student myself in the past, I was lucky enough to do my year abroad in Ireland, and that's a year that I will never forget for the right reasons. I mean, it was really, really good, and it develops yourself. It develops you as well. I mean, it gives you self-confidence, etc., and you build some brilliant friendships as well while you're abroad. So I'm going back to the placement. During your third year, either you will do a placement with a company, either you will opt to go and study abroad. And those years are that year with those two options are really, really good opportunities. Then you come back to us. And usually when you come back to us, when you're changed because you've grown through the business, or you're grown individually, personally, based on those experiences in the last year, which is good, is that we try to also ask the students to tell us and share with us their experiences, either on the placement or basically what you have done during your year abroad. So when you come back to us, the core modules will be ethical and sustainable marketing, which is very, very relevant today, very topical today. So we look basically at the way companies behave in that sector and how they're going to have to adapt in the environment of the next decades. Obviously, you are, I'm sure, very aware of that. And you will also look at global marketing, strategic management, as well as strategic marketing thinking and action, which is a very hands-on topic as well, module. In terms of options, this is your choice for your final year. So again, you may decide to add different strengths to your CV, or you may decide to develop a specific expertise in some areas. So the options you can choose from are customer insights and experience, or entrepreneurial marketing, innovative retail management, leadership and management communications, marketing world, which is basically a module where we have many different nationalities in the team, in the department. So basically every year a selection of lecturers coming from all over the world will come and teach on this specific module to look at specific case studies internationally. Mastering marketing communications, presenting marketing analytics, if it is really a domain, a field that you would like to gain strength in, strategic sales leadership, and successful brand management. So as you can see through those modules, some of them will continue really from year 2. So you could definitely build up expertise in some areas like sales, like communications, for instance, like digital marketing, and choose other options if you decide to go that way. Now, the good thing about our program is that it leads to some great accreditations, and I'm just spending a bit of time bringing them all up here. But the professional body in the UK for the marketeers is the CIM, Chartered Institute of Marketing. And again, we have built some strong relationships with that professional body, and a lot of businesses, a lot of marketeers, professionals are part of that professional body. So once you have completed your degree with us, then it gives you specific accreditations. So for instance, you will have, if you do digital marketing, then you know that will stand in for the marketing and integrated communications within the CIM certificate of professional marketing. If you do customer insights, you will then, you know, be able to claim applied marketing and planning campaigns again on the certificate in professional digital marketing. If you do the following modules underneath, strategic marketing, etc., that will basically give you replace, you know, specific modules again on the diploma. And the same as well in professional digital marketing if you're doing some specific module with us. So that is a strength, again, that you should bear in mind. And again, the CIM is located everywhere, well, has branches across the world. So if you're an international student, that will also give you value back home. Now, in terms of assessment methods, we do use a variety of assignment methods. You will look at a lot of case studies, paper or video based. Whenever we can, we actually work with companies to provide you with live case studies, authentic case studies, so that again you feel that your work will make a difference and that it is a valuable experience, something that you can add to your CV, something that you can mention within an interview. You will have some examinations, but there aren't many examinations on the course. I think we have about 3 or 4 examinations, so not that many examinations. A lot of the assessment is actually coursework based. Presentations, individuals or group presentations, live projects, essays, reports, electronic diaries, and also pitches, especially in communications and in sales, you will have to do pitches. So that's very important because it means that we are trying, well, not we are trying, we are giving you the skills that are requested from employers so that, again, you know, your profile is confident, your profile is distinctive when you are taking that job interview, when you are looking for work. So now, in terms of support, you may be saying to yourselves, oh my goodness me, you know, how is it going to work all this? Well, we're going to give you a lot and a lot of support. First of all, we are going to develop those skills for you to tackle your assignments and your assessment from day one. So when we're going to welcome you, we will start already, you know, building up your confidence. And certainly in the first year, a lot of those skills are actually embedded within the modules. So you will learn how to write an essay at university level. You will learn how to write a business report. We will really support you all the way. As your program director, my office will be open. I'm available via emails, etc. Very approachable. So this is why I'm delighted to talk to you today, because we're making that first connection today. Your module leaders will be there to support you. Again, they will be approachable. We've got an electronic booking system at the university, so you can book appointments online. And at the moment with COVID-19, we are still very much in touch with our students. We are definitely connected to our students. We care for you, we look after you. You will have also a dedicated personal tutor. So that person will make sure that you are okay, that you really love what you are doing. And if you have difficulties, we know where to refer you, or we can discuss it with you. Our Learning and Development Center is fantastic. They offer support on campus, but there's also a lot of material and a lot of help available online, and you can book one-to-one appointments to discuss specific aspects, again, of your studying. You've got the Aston Library, again, available online, a lot of resources there, and colleagues there will also help you find specific databases, help you navigate your way through the resources we've got there. The enabling team is extremely important for us. The enabling team are colleagues who are there to support you emotionally, to support you personally. If you've got any problems, if you have any disabilities, those colleagues will be there to help you as well through your journey with us. And then finally, our careers and placements team is fantastic at supporting the students and helping them find a placement, and also keeping on liaising with employers. So in terms of graduate employment, well, these are a few names here, a few brands that we can show you where our students, marketing students, have found some work, some jobs, exciting jobs. Those are the big names, obviously, but remember that 98% of the fabric of a country, of an economy, relies on SMEs. So of course, a lot of our students as well will work in SMEs too. And then in terms of graduate positions, then these are some examples of the kind of jobs that you would do once you have qualified with us. And a lot of them obviously are associated to the marketing world, to the media world as well, to the creative industries, digital world, etc., etc. So I will be delighted to take your questions afterwards. But in the meanwhile, this is recorded. You can always go back to this. These are my contact details if you want to ask me any other specific questions, or near next September 2021, if you want to get in touch, then feel free to contact me at any time. Okay, so I'm going to return you to Isabelle. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation, and I really, really look forward, should you choose Aston, which I hope you will, I really look forward to welcoming you at the campus.
Okay, thank you so much, Natalie. I'm going to now pass you on to Andrew for a taster session.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm going to share my screen with you all, and then I'm going to talk you through some slides today. I will warn you at some point, I'm going to ask for volunteers to answer some questions. So it would be nice if a couple of you could volunteer just to answer some questions for me. So I'm Andrew, and then the Marketing and Strategy Group with Natalie, and today I'm talking about marketing and value. So marketing essentially has many periods that it's gone through, but we can think of marketing as then versus now. Many years ago, we had Henry Ford saying to customers, okay, I've built you a car, you can have the car in any color you like as long as it's black. This idea of one size fits all. And as marketing has progressed, and we look towards the right-hand side of the screen here with this little Nike example of Nike ID, we've now got a situation where if you purchase a product, you've potentially got the opportunity to change all of the various colors in the product so that you could actually create something that is unique to you. So we've moved from one size fits all to potentially you can buy something exactly the way you would like it to. And most companies seem to sit somewhere in the middle of those two things. Some value in marketing. A couple of quotes here that just demonstrate what value is considered as consisting of. We've got the consumer's overall assessment of the utility of a product based on what is received and what is given. And if we look at the second quote, we'll see perceived benefits, which echoes that what is received, and perceived sacrifice, which echoes that what is given component. We perceive value as, what do I have to give up in order to receive something? And the most simple equation we have for that is, if I buy a product, I will typically pay a price for that. I will have to sacrifice some money in order to receive the benefits of that product. So now that we've got an idea of what value is, marketers are quite tricky. We use a lot of psychology and sociology research. Psychology because we want to know why people think a certain way, and sociology because we want to know why they behave a certain way. So let's have a look at the statements that I've got on the slide here. Based on statistics from last year, there is a 95% pass rate for my module. Or based on statistics from last year, there is a 5% failure rate for my module. Now, which one of those statements sounds better to you? I'm willing to bet it's the first statement. You like the idea of a 95% pass rate. The idea of a 5% failure rate doesn't sound as good. It's the same thing, if you think about it, 95% pass, 5% failure, that's exactly the same information, it's exactly the same situation that's being communicated, but the first one sounds a little bit better. So in terms of value or marketing, we talk about the idea of framing could depend on a positive, or value could depend on positive or negative framing. Positive framing is information that is communicated in a nice, happy way. Negative framing is information that is included in a more negative way. And marketers will often use positive framing to describe their products, and they will often try and use negative framing to describe a competitor's products. Moving on from this, we've got an idea now that we can frame marketing communications in a particular way to get people to pay attention to them. Another thing that we're interested in marketing is this idea of what we call anchoring value, because consumers are notorious for not really knowing what to expect to pay for something or what something is worth. So let's have a look at what The Economist did about 12 years ago. So the idea of online is a little out of date here, but the principles of this still work. The Economist published on their website that there were two options for taking out a subscription to The Economist. Now, I'd like you to pretend that you have to take out a subscription to The Economist. Someone's holding a gun to your head or whatever it is, and they say, hey, you've got to choose one of the subscriptions available to you. So have a look at those two, online only and print and online, and just think about which of those subscriptions you would take out. If you really wanted a subscription to The Economist, which of those two sounds better to you? So which one offers you the best value and which would you choose? Has everyone got a decision on that? You've got that in your head? Okay, what if I do this? I've added a third option here. Has anybody changed their mind with regard to the original subscription that they were going to choose? I suspect most of you originally wanted the online subscription because it was the cheaper of the two. But now that I've introduced the print-only subscription, the print and online version of the subscription starts to look more valuable. This is what we term price anchoring, or offering anchor points to people. And it's the idea of offering value can depend on this idea of comparison status. In the original options that I showed you, you know what an online-only subscription costs, and you know what a print and online subscription costs, but you're not really sure how much of the print and online is the print subscription. You don't know what a print subscription should be worth to you. When I add the print subscription, suddenly the print and online starts to look more valuable. So marketers quite like the idea of offering these anchor points for pricing, because as I said, consumers are notorious for not knowing the price of things. Here's a little exercise that I hope proves this. How much does milk cost? Now, this is your standard 2-pint or 1.16 litre bottle of milk. What would you expect to pay for this in the 4 main supermarkets? So Asda, Sainsbury's, Tesco, or Waitrose / Morrison's, I guess, or Asda Morrison's actually. So Asda, Sainsbury's, Tesco, Waitrose. What would you expect to pay for a 2-pint bottle of milk? Have you got an idea in your head? Okay. This is what you should expect to pay. It's about 80p for a 2-pint bottle of milk, although there is a 10% additional cost at Waitrose that you pay so that you can tell people that you shop at Waitrose. So we've got price anchoring. This is an interesting idea for marketers. It's a way of communicating value, but we know that consumers are not particularly good, because we know that consumers aren't particularly good at estimating the cost of something. Let's have another exercise. I like to call this one the TV debate. So I'm just going to shift my little recording box around the screen so it doesn't get in the way. We've got 3 TVs here. They are all 55-inch TVs. So the screen size is identical. They do have different feet, but that is not the explanation for the price differences. I want you to assume that you are making a decision to buy one of these TVs. Now, I'd also like you to pretend that the cost of the TV doesn't matter to you. You can afford all 3 of them. It doesn't matter which one you buy. It makes no difference to your household finances or your personal finances. So really, it's just a decision of which TV would you buy out of these 3. So I'm not going to show you any more information. I'm just going to show you those TVs and the prices of the TVs while you know the screen sizes are the same. So have a think about that, just reflect on that, and get a decision in your head. Would you like the left-hand TV or the cheapest TV, the right-hand TV, the more expensive one, or the middle TV? So left-hand, right-hand, or middle. Have a think about that and keep it in your head. Remember that, which one you were going for. I'm now going to talk you through what you might have been thinking when you were looking at these TVs. A little bit like Darren Brown sort of does, I guess, but he's a bit more successful than I am at this. On the left-hand side, we've got the cheapest option of the TVs. This is our low anchor point. This is here to show you what you should expect to pay for a new 55-inch TV. This is the minimum you should expect to pay. So we're setting you up. If you've come into my electronics store with no idea of what to pay for a TV, I'm setting you up with the lowest you should expect to pay. So we get all of that shock out of the way if you were expecting to pay £100 or £200. But there's a thing in marketing and psychology that we call price quality perception. As we pay more for something, we expect it to be better. Now, of course, the converse to that is as we pay less for something, we expect that it's not as good. So we might look at the lowest price TV and think it's a good price, but it's the cheapest. First of all, I start wondering if there's anything wrong with it at that price. And there's also that annoying thing of, well, I don't want my friends to know that I bought the cheapest TV. So I might discount the left-hand side one. On the right-hand side now, this is the most expensive TV that we can offer you. This is our high anchor point. Look what you could pay for a new TV. This is designed to make the other 2 prices look very reasonable. However, for something that expensive, I might be thinking, well, the screen sizes are the same. So that means the materials that make up the TV are probably higher quality in this one, or it's going to have lots and lots of features. Now, am I going to use all of those features? Well, I'm not sure. I can't justify using all of the features, so I think potentially I'd be wasting my money if I bought that right-hand TV. The TV in the middle, of course, we look at that and we think, well, it's the mid-priced one. It costs more than the cheap one, so I know it's not the cheapest now. I've got price quality perception, it's better. But it's also quite a lot less than the most expensive one. So I'm thinking I can save quite a lot of money here. I'm not wasting my money as much if I go for the middle TV. So in other words, it probably seems like quite a good compromise. Now, I would normally ask if we were all in the room together, I'd ask for shows of hands of who bought which TV. I'll just assume you're being honest. I would bet that most of the people went for the middle option out of the 3 TVs. And if you did, I can say, gotcha. But I can also say, don't worry about that, because as a retailer, that's what you were supposed to do in the first place. I don't want to offer or have in stock all 3 types of TV. That's expensive for me. I like to overbuy the middle one and hope that more people are going to buy that. Now, normally there would be more than 3 TVs in the range, but there will always be the low anchor price and the high anchor price. And that's generally designed to get you buying one of the TVs in the mid-range. And that's how we can use anchor pricing and various psychology of pricing things in marketing to try and guide you towards a particular purchase decision. So we know that value is important, and we know that we can use anchoring and also that idea of framing to communicate value. But at this stage, I've talked about value, but we don't really know what it is or how do consumers construct value. One of the ways that we can investigate that is to use something that we call a laddering technique. Now, for this section of my presentation, I'm going to need 2 volunteers, and I'd like you to type your answers to my questions into the chat box so that Isabel, who's managing our chat box, can share your answers with me. I'm just going to take my slides out of presentation mode as well, because I want to be able to look at the chat box while I'm going through this. So I'm just going to slightly minimize that, and then I'm going to I've lost the chat box. Oh, I can't find the chat box. There's the chat box. So I just need my chat box with my answers there, and I need my, oh, I've lost my slides. What happened to my slides? Did I close my slides? There are my slides. Okay, so can I have 2 volunteers from the audience? And I would like you to think about your mobile phone for this exercise. Now, normally when I run this exercise, there's always somebody with an iPhone, and I need you to have different phones. So if somebody's got an iPhone, so if somebody wants to volunteer and say, hi, I'll volunteer, I'll talk about this phone, I need somebody else to volunteer and say, hi, I'll volunteer and I'll talk about this phone. And they need to be different. So hopefully from our chat box, we can choose different types of phones. So could I get some volunteers to just sort of type in? It's a very easy thing that we're going to run through here. I think we might have, do we have 1 volunteer? No. Can I have some volunteers? Is anybody typing in? Oh, I might have one. Okay, I've got Callie, I think. Yes, you've got a phone in mind. Okay, can I have another volunteer? Do we know which phone Callie is going to be talking about? iPhone 11. That's Callie with the iPhone 11. And I've got Brandon with an iPhone SE. Can I have someone without an iPhone? Sorry, Brandon, I'll go with Callie for the iPhone representation. Is there anybody in the room without an iPhone? Please tell me Apple haven't got global domination yet. Maybe someone's got a Galaxy phone or a Nokia phone, something like that. iPhone. Everybody's got iPhones. So I've got 3 people with iPhones, I think. I need someone without an iPhone, please. Okay, so I've got Callie with an iPhone, I've got Brandon with an iPhone, I've got Orla with an iPhone. Is there somebody without an iPhone? Or at least we'll hope that you pick different features. Okay, I'll use Callie and Brandon then. Okay, so thank you for volunteering, Orla, but I'll go with Callie and Brandon as my 2 volunteers. What I'd like you to do is think about your phone then, okay? Callie, Brandon, think about your phone. I'd like you to tell me which phone feature you like best. So of all the things that your phone can do, which feature do you like best? If you just type that into the box and then Isabel can share that through with us. Vivo phone. Oh, okay. You can stop volunteering for phones now. I've got Callie and Brandon as my 2 volunteers. Thank you, Tanya, but I'll go with Callie and Brandon. So Callie and Brandon, which feature of your phone do you like best? Or do I not have a Callie? I think I've got Callie, but Callie comes up as anonymous. Okay, so Callie likes the Face ID. Okay, Brandon, what do you like in terms of features of your iPhone? What's your favorite feature? And please don't say Face ID. Fingers crossed. Please don't say Face ID. Is Brandon still there? Has Brandon disappeared? Oh, okay. Maybe I'll ask Orla then. If Orla can jump in and replace Brandon, so Callie and Orla can be my 2 participants now. So Orla, if you could just tell me which feature of your iPhone you like the best. Oh, Brandon is here. Okay, sorry, I wasn't scrolling down. That's my fault. Okay, so you like the design of the iPhone. Okay, so Callie likes the Face ID, Brandon likes the design. Okay, so what does this feature of the phone allow you to do? So Callie and Brandon, what does that feature allow you to do? So Callie, your iPhone has Face ID. What does that feature allow you to do? And Brandon, your iPhone's got a nice design. So what does that feature allow you to do in particular? Okay. So the feature on your phone, what does it allow you to do? It's a bit of an odd second question here, because when you describe a feature that you like and then what the feature allows you to do, most of the time our respondents say, didn't you just ask me the same thing twice? And we do often have to say yes, but because this is a well-practiced technique, we always go through the questions one by one. So I think I'm just waiting for Callie and Brandon to go through. Okay, so it allows you to pay for things such as online shopping. Okay, good. Brandon, have we got your response to what the design of your phone allows you to do? Or what do you like? What do you like about the design of the iPhone SE? Okay, while I'm waiting for Brandon then. So Callie, now that you've told me that you've got this Face ID that allows you to pay for things such as online shopping and to download apps, how do you benefit from this feature? You've sort of said already that it's so much easier. Are you going to stick with that as your, how do you benefit from that feature? Would you just like to stick with it so much easier, or are there any other benefits that you think you get from this use of Face ID or the convenience of that? Okay, and Brandon, you've got this idea of you're getting the current features in the iPhone with the older design of the iPhone, which you perhaps preferred. Okay, so how do you benefit from that? How do you think that you benefit from that? You've got this idea that you're a fan of the older phones. So how would you perhaps describe that benefit in maybe some other words? Okay, so maybe it's cheaper and provides the same specifications. Okay, could do. So Callie's thinking about this iPhone scan or Face ID on the phone, allowing her to pay for things a lot easier or a lot faster, and that's potentially easier. Brandon's got this idea, or likes the feature of the iPhone where we have the recent phone specifications in an older model phone. So it's a bit of a sort of a throwback nostalgia type model there, I think. So moving on then, these benefits that you get, Callie and Brandon, are there any emotions that you would assign to these benefits now? So Callie, you've got Face ID. It enables you to download apps and do online shopping. So it's easier and it's more convenient for you. How does that make you feel? And Brandon, you've got the current iPhone specifications in an older looking model. So it's kind of a throwback, postmodern approach to it, I guess. How do you feel about that? Okay, so Callie, if you forget your password, it doesn't have a negative impact and it's faster. Okay, so we could probably say it offers you reassurance or maybe feelings of security, something like that. And Brandon, we're just waiting for what emotions does Brandon associate with these features now? Now, the idea behind this task, while we just wait for Brandon, when we are communicating value, we have what's called functional value, which is simply what does a product do. But we find that it's not very useful to try and sell a product on the basis of this functional value, because I don't really sell my mobile phone to Callie and say, hey, this phone has Face ID, because most phones these days have Face ID. The functional features of a product are often not enough to differentiate it from competitors. So the purpose of this laddering technique is that we try and dig a little bit deeper than just what people think of product features, and we try and tie that to emotions that people associate with those product features, or emotions that people will associate with that brand. Because emotional ties to something are stronger than just functional ties. We will tend to have closer relationships with family members than we would with people that we interact with in a functional capacity at work, because these emotional ties are stronger for people. And that factors into this idea of value. Okay. So Brandon, it's easier to keep in your pocket, this idea of these features in this phone, it's easier for you, it has perhaps some sort of nostalgia tied to it. So while I'm trying to sell you a mobile phone, I'm not telling Callie that the phone's got Face ID. I'm telling Callie that, hey, you know what? Don't panic, relax. If you forget your password, it doesn't matter. You don't have to remember passwords anymore. You just have to make sure that you take your face with you when you go somewhere. Okay? I'm not selling Callie on the functional features of the phone anymore. I'm selling her on the emotional benefits of it. And Brandon's talking about the design of the phone and how he prefers this design. I'm not talking about the functions of the phone when I'm trying to sell it to Brandon. I'm talking about how he perceives the emotions that he ties into. It's just easier to manage the phone now. There's a preference for this type of phone model, the older model compared to the new one. So that's the idea behind the laddering technique. We try and get people, or our respondents, to talk about more than just the basic functions of a product, but what emotions they tie to that. And on the next slide here, you'll see that value is actually very complicated. On the left-hand side, we've got functional value. Okay, the product does what it says it should. And we've got cost and sacrifice. Remember, benefits and sacrifice from earlier. This is the sacrifice component. We have to pay money to get a product. We might have to give up some time to buy a product. In the middle, we've got experiential and symbolic value, the emotions or the psychological meaning for us. Buying a product, it might make me feel nostalgic, or buying a product might make me feel successful. If I buy a particular brand of car, I might feel as though I have been successful in my career. On the right-hand side, this is the results of a study on value, where they were looking at the different ways that value can be assessed. And you'll see that there are lots of different ways that value can be impacted upon, from functional, of course, to emotional, And then as we get towards the top of the pyramid, we talk about social impact of the things that we do. One of the examples of this is Tom's shoes. If you buy a pair of their shoes, they will donate a pair of shoes to somebody less fortunate than you in a developing situation. So by buying a product, you can actually feel as though you are contributing to other people in society. And these are the very much higher order benefits of value. As well as value, we can also think about brands, because brands help to communicate value. So let's have a look at two phones here. I'll describe two phones to you. Here we go, phone 1 on the left, phone 2 on the right. There are the features of the phones written there. The phone on the left, phone number 1, costs £350. On the basis of those features and that comparison of those phones, what would you expect to pay for phone number 2? I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that, and then just get an idea in your head, what would I pay for this? And then I will reveal to you the cost of phone number 2 on the next slide, and it is over £700. We're comparing a Nokia phone on the left, one of the more recent Nokia phones, can't remember the exact model. I think that's the iPhone 10 on the right. The phones have essentially the same features, but Apple having a stronger brand enables them to charge more than twice the price of the Nokia phone for their product. And people buying the Apple phone will still be happy with that purchase, even though they've paid more, because brands are useful ways of communicating value and trust, all of these other things that we like to feel as a consumer when we're making a purchase. I like to trust the company I'm buying from. I like to know that I'm getting value from a purchase. Here's a look at just some of the more valuable brands in the world, just to give you an idea of what some of these brands are now worth. We can look at Apple up the top, which is worth roughly 234 billion US dollars. Now, the way these charts are interpreted is typically, if I was setting up a company and it was an electronics company and I was entering the industry to compete with Apple, it's estimated that I would have to spend about $234 billion on promotional activities and communications activities and all these other things to put my brand in the same position in the consumer's mind where Apple is currently perceived. So these brands are taking on almost ludicrous valuations, but that's what they're perceived as being worth for customers. So that's the end of my talk. I'll just leave you with these thoughts on why value, why is it so important? We can build stronger connections with customers and get greater loyalty, especially if we get that emotional tie-in. We can charge more money for it because we build trust and consumers feel a bit more relaxed purchasing from us. And it makes a brand more resistant to competitors' products or even controversy. If your brand does something wrong, but you've got a very strong brand, consumers are more willing to forgive you for that. So now we've arrived at the end of my talk. So thank you for listening. If you've got any questions for me or for Natalie, or we've also got a couple of our current final year students with us today. So we've got Emily and Amber who are here to answer questions as well. So I'm done talking for now. I can take a deep breath. I'll pass you back to Isabel and we will answer any questions that you've got for us. So I should have passed back to, I think I've gone back to.
Thanks, Andrew. Would you mind resharing that presentation so that we've got Amber and Emily's details on the screen?
I can, yes. There we go. That's
brilliant. Thank you.
Right.
So I'll pass you over to Amber and Emily. Please do ask any questions in the Q&A and we'll publish them and get some answered for you.
Oh yeah, so we'll just quickly introduce ourselves and we'll give you guys a chance to fire away any questions you've got for us. So my name is Amber, obviously marketing student in my final year. I'm originally from Kent, so moving to Birmingham. Kent's in the southeast, for those of you who don't know, was quite a big move for me in terms of moving away from my family, but I found it really worthwhile. The course at Aston is one you don't get in many places. Having the sandwich year is really crucial to get an employment after university as well. So as you can see, I did my placement year at HP, so Hewlett Packard, in a consumer marketing role. And then I'm now going on into a consumer role again because I really enjoyed that experience. But this time I'm going to be working for Vodafone.
Hi, I'm Emily, so I'm in my final year as well, so just waiting to get my results from the exams that we've just done. So I did my placement at Volvo Group in Warwick, so I worked in Volvo Trucks specifically, so B2B marketing. I was a marketing coordinator there, so I did my placement there, and I moved from Manchester to Birmingham, so I finished my 4 years at Birmingham. And now I am waiting to go into my graduate role in September as a digital marketing executive for an e-commerce marketing kind of company.
So that is us in a quick nutshell, but if anyone's got any questions about the course or about university life and experience in general, we'll be happy to answer them. So if you just go into the Q&A, send through any questions you've got and we'll help you out as we can.
There we go. There's a question there from Maya.
Super. So the top 5 companies at Aston have connections with for placements. So Aston have a connection with a lot of companies. It'd be hard to pick out a top 5. And the careers team, basically what they do is they go through all the kind of job listing websites and they send emails out to you. I think it was once a week with the latest releases so that you could go through and kind of see which ones you fancied applying to. You also have careers fairs, and it's generally the same sort of companies that you get there. So you've got your Barclays, you've got Deloitte, you've got PwC. In terms of more marketing sort of based ones, you've got Virgin, you have Muller. I'd say Muller are one that Aston have a really good connection with. You tend to, I don't know if it still is because you'll be doing a slightly newer course than what we've done, but we have projects working with certain companies like Muller, which is why I therefore say there's probably a closer relationship there between the university and the company.
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously, the university has relationships with different companies, but a lot of it also you can do yourself. So just searching online, there's a lot of placement opportunities that are advertised on different websites, resources. So I found my placement through as a big placement website, and I found and applied through them on my own. So there's a bit of both. The uni support you, but also you can also do a bit off your own back as well.
So we just got a question about, do some people not take the placement year? It's compulsory as part of the course that you do a placement year. As Natalie said earlier, you can either do a placement where you work for a company, which is what both Emily and myself have done, or you can choose to study abroad for the year. But that 3rd year is a sandwich year. It's compulsory as part of the course. So you either do have to go and work for a company for the year, gain some experience, or go and experience studying in another country. Again, all English-based courses. But it's a chance for you to broaden your skill set and meet some new people and network.
Any other questions to our students? Please don't be shy, students, don't be shy. Somebody has asked, what are the top 5 companies that Aston have connections with for placements? We would need to take that question to our placement and career office, because obviously that will be for the entire business school, but we will get that answer back to you in no time. Any other questions?
Anything at all, even if it's just about general concerns with moving away from home or university life.
We might have one more here. We've got a new one.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So how much choice did you find you had in each module section? Slightly confused on that one. So you get choice of optional modules, but within each module, you've got set coursework and exam, or coursework or exam or case study. You don't have a choice within the module of how you're assessed, if that makes sense. So you will have an option at the start of 2nd and final year where you will get to choose a couple of modules from a list that you would like to do. But yeah, within modules, you don't have the flexibility of how you're assessed or anything like that.
But assessment, and can people hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. But assessments are discussed. So first of all, when you've got your choice of modules moving on to the second year or the third year, the final year, sorry, you will be presented, you know, those modules will be presented to you. So you will know what assessment strategy is attached with each module. But I want the students as well to know that you have your assignment within the first 2 weeks of a module. So therefore, you've got the entire term to work towards this assignment, so it doesn't come as a shock, basically.
Cool. So we've got what made you choose Aston. Emily, do you want to go first on that one?
Yeah, so I really like the fact that it's like a campus university, but within a city. So that's probably one of the main things, and also the massive drive on placements. So obviously other universities do placements, but at Aston a lot of the courses include placements, so there's massive focus on that, and they really pushed and drive that. And I just liked how welcoming everyone was at the university, but I think mainly, if I could say, the top 2 reasons was the location, so how good it was in the city, but it's a campus university at the same time. Everything's really close, and then also the big drive on placements.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Placements was definitely a big driver for me on choosing Aston. Obviously, a lot of graduates, it's well known, have problems getting jobs purely for companies saying that you don't have enough experience. So that year of working in the real world is really good for that, but it also actually gives you a chance to work out what you want to do. I didn't have a massive clue within marketing where I wanted to specialise until I had that experience. And then on a more personal level, it was one of those where Birmingham is far enough away from home that I could have the university experience, I could do my own thing, but close enough that I could go back and see my family whenever I wanted to. And that was quite important to have that balance for me. In terms of the most important takeaway from your placement year, most important takeaway, it definitely teaches you that networking is crucial. It's a really big part of your career and your life. So the biggest takeaway I took from placement was that. But in terms of the biggest learning, it was for me working out that consumer was really what I preferred doing, and I quite like being on the corporate side rather than on the agency side. Emily, any input?
Yeah, I would agree. Mine was placement was very like B2B orientated, so that's business to business. So rather than speaking to consumers and marketing consumers, obviously trucks, when you're selling them, you're selling them more to companies. So it helped me learn that I wanted to do consumer marketing, but also in general, I think it just gave me a sense of what a working life was like, and it maybe will help if you're not too sure what you want to do specifically in marketing as a role. It helps to kind of help you learn what you like, kind of thing.
Yeah. Why choose marketing over other business functions? I personally always had an interest in consumer behaviour and consumer psychology, and marketing is very centralised around that. So it was a good way of meeting business and psychology together. But one thing I will say is you get to do, especially in your first year, a few modules that relate to other business areas. I believe you're still doing a bit of accounting. So you do get to kind of taste what some other areas of business are like. So don't feel like you'll miss out on that opportunity. And I'm sure if you felt a need to discuss opportunities to look at other courses within that, you could. But for me, marketing was just always where my passion was at.
Yeah, I agree.
Marketing is a holistic function within the company. So by looking at marketing, you will look automatically at the other aspects of the companies as well, and the other departments of the company. So it is a very, very holistic discipline as well.
Natalie, there's a couple that I think you might be able to answer. There's one on how many options do they get to pick and how long is each module?
So in terms of options, the first year is prescribed. So that's basically what I presented that you saw in the presentation. In terms of the second year and the third year, you'd have 4 cores and you've got 4 options. So you tend to do 2 cores and 2 options in the first term, 2 cores and 2 options in the second term.
Cool. Just a quick question on diversity and multicultural. Yeah, Aston is a very diverse population of students. Being a city as well, it's a lot more diverse than a lot of universities you will find from kind of more outset countryside universities. I definitely found that during my time there, it allowed me to learn a lot about people from different cultures and backgrounds. It's been really incredible for that side of the experience too.
Have we got any more questions coming through?
How long is each module and how many exams for each has been a question that we've got, Natalie.
Okay, I cannot see that one right now. Oh yes, I can now. Sorry about that. How long is each module? It's usually over 10 weeks. So it's 3 hours per week, 10 weeks. The last week is usually dedicated to revisions and preparation for the assessment, which can be done in the class, in the lectures, or through individual tutorials. So the last week anyway of the module is usually dedicated to the assessment itself. How many exams for each? It depends on each module. Really, the program is very much based on coursework. There aren't that many exams. We are trying to keep away from exams if we can. We want students to be really prepared for their work. So we try to embed reflective and critical skills as much as we can. So having looked at the entire program, I think we have about 3 or 4 examinations in the program. So it's mostly coursework based.
Cool. A question here on placement experience. Do you get paid and do you feel like an employee in the workforce? So this differs from company to company and placement role to placement role. So you can get paid for placement experiences. A lot of business roles are paid. I personally was paid at HP, but you can take voluntary ones, and obviously the pay grade you receive will depend on the company you work for. In terms of whether you feel like an employee in the workforce, Aston make sure that the companies that they approve are all ones that will give you a really good experience and give you some responsibility in the role. But again, it's going to depend company to company because the people within the company are different and you don't really know quite what a role is until you're in it. I felt like a really strong employee within the company at HP. I never felt like I was put down as an internal. People didn't take me seriously and I got to manage my own parts of the campaign and the strategy. So don't feel like you're going to be photocopying and getting coffees, because you are not going to be doing that. You will actually be in a role, you will be working, you will be getting to try out different areas of marketing and see where you want to go with your career.
Yeah, I agree. I was paid obviously on my placement as well. And in terms of feeling like an employee, I think I definitely was. I built up a really good relationship with the team that I work with. So I was given so much responsibility. You really are treated like somebody who was part of the company. So I definitely agree with that.
I would like to jump in by saying that the vast majority of the placements at Aston are paid. So that is part of our agreements with the companies. So again, that's a major differentiator compared to a lot of other places. What I would like to say as well is that we do follow our placement students. So each placement student will have a placement tutor, a placement supervisor, and we do pay our students 1 visit per year where we go and visit them in the company, talk to the employer, see if there are any problems, if they are happy, etc., etc. And during that year, the students will also complete a piece of assignment as well, a presentation, etc. But basically, this is to show that this year, either study abroad or in placement is extremely valuable to the program as a whole. But you will not be left a year out. We actually keep in touch with you as well as lecturers.
This one I'm going to throw out to you, Natalie and Andrew. What would be the best qualification for employers in marketing?
Well, it depends on the role, I would say. You will find excellent positions with BScs, obviously. I mean, Emily and Amber today are testament to this. So, of course, you would. Masters will guarantee a job, a role, which would be more at a higher managerial role. But what you've got to bear in mind is that the area, the profession of marketing is very dynamic. And you can start actually, with not that many responsibilities in instances in the company and make your way up pretty quickly. So it's an evolving discipline. It's a dynamic discipline, and there are always opportunities in marketing. Companies always need to market their products and their services and engage with their customers. So it all depends whether you want to specialize further with a master or whether you're ready to go for work. And again, bear in mind that a lot of employers will be happy to support training, especially with Chartered Institute of Marketing, post the BSc as well. Andrew, any other thoughts on that?
I would just say most marketing people probably start out with a BSc, and then as you progress through your career, they make the decision as to whether or not they go for a master's in a more specialized area, or maybe something like an MBA if they see themselves moving into a more managerial role. But I would say I don't think employers are necessarily looking for masters qualified people in marketing roles at the moment. I think a BSc in marketing is going to set you up perfectly for graduate roles.
Yes. Back to you.
Back to us. Clubs and societies. Yes, I was involved in clubs and societies. There's loads at Aston, and it's definitely something I will tell you everyone should get involved in at least one club or society. I went to uni and I was quite nervous about joining any, but all my best friends from uni have come from those. So I was part of the swimming and water polo club for the whole duration of my time at university. I was also involved in the Women in Business Society, which is really good. You get to have some kind of exclusive events with employers, which again is networking. That's a chance to maybe make contacts. So if you wanted to go and do your placement with one of the companies that have come in and spoken, you've obviously already made that introduction, which puts you in a good place to start with. And then in my final year, I was part of Enactus as well, which is a society, but it's also an actual, it's an enterprise. It is a business run by students, but it's all voluntary.
Sorry, I just had a technical issue.
All right, so Emily was just talking about, did you get involved in any clubs or societies?
Yeah, so I did that from freshers year, so first year until my final year. And it's something I really, really enjoyed, and I would really encourage anyone who starts as a fresher, even if you want to join in your second year and you didn't in your first year, I think definitely get involved in those things, because you can make friends beyond just your own course, your own schools, such as the business school. Some of my friends do law, different things like that. And it's just a great way to socialise, make friends. I was actually on one of the committees, so you get to take on a role that you can put on your CV if you want to. So I just think there's so many opportunities, and I think if you can and you want to, get involved in clubs and societies.
Yeah, I think a really important point there is it does allow you to meet and interact with people from different courses and different schools within the university, because obviously generally within your course you're only going to interact with people on either the marketing course or maybe some of the wider ABS students, but obviously there's a whole host of students across the university, so do try and mix it up as much as you can.
Our student union is extremely active, and you're benefiting from a brand new building as well, which is absolutely top notch. But I think we're all very proud of the student union as well at Aston University, especially during the COVID-19 crisis, when with the leadership of our students, part of the building has been turned into a food bank to support the local community. So we are extremely proud of the Students' Union achievement and of the students who take part and also lead the Students' Union.
I'm just going to answer this one quickly on how many hours would you recommend working a job each week. So I'm assuming this is a part-time job. I think that will depend on the individual person. Some people don't work at all while they're doing their degree. Some people work a lot, and everyone's circumstances are different. So I worked part-time as a swimming teacher at the university pool and also with some local swimming schools in the area. And it varied over the years, but I probably did an average of sort of 8 hours a week, and that was quite comfortable. I know people who worked more, a lot of international students. My friend is American and she had to work a lot of hours, just obviously for her own personal support while at university. But that's completely up to you. Your first year is a good chance for you to figure out where the comfort zone is for you and how many hours you want to do. And then obviously as the years go on and the weighting of each year, so the percentage of your degree overall goes up, you might want to reduce those hours to make sure you can dedicate as much time as possible to your studies. But it would be hard to give a recommended sort of figure because you just don't know what each person's individual background is and why they need to work.
Thank you very much for that, Amber. You're absolutely right. It's about everybody's ability to manage their own time as well. Time management is essential here. I mean, broadly, the students will have 12 hours usually presence on the campus. So you've got 2 hours lectures, 1 hour seminar. So, 3 hours multiplied by 4. So 2 cores and 2 optionals. Usually the lectures are scheduled over 2 hours with 1 break, obviously. The practical are the seminars. We do lots of different activities. You will not be talked at for 2 hours. We try to engage our students as well in questions, answers, activities. So it all depends basically on the module itself. Does your first year count? What do we mean? Yes, it does. It does a lot. Because again, this is a foundation of the entire program. So yes, it is extremely important. This is where you're going to develop the right skills to study academically, to prepare basically to complete the entire program. So of course, yes, it does count. Yes.
Just to add on to that, when you're applying for placements in your second year, the only grades that are normally available for you are your first year grades. So although the first year, when calculating your final degree classification, doesn't count towards that, your first year grades can certainly make the difference between securing your ideal placement and perhaps a placement where it was less than ideal, I suppose. So yes, first year technically doesn't count, but please don't treat it as party year or something like that.
As a student, I'd say remember you're paying money for the year, so you want to make the most of it and go to all your lectures. And I'd definitely recommend seeing your tutors on a one-to-one basis, so that if nothing else, you're at least getting the most value you can for the money you're paying for your degree. It seems a shame to pay £9,000 for the year and not put your all into getting a grade that you're happy with.
Absolutely. You've got to work bearing in mind what you want to achieve in your life. And obviously getting a higher qualification, a higher classification is, for your degree will matter, especially when you want that dream job. Of course, it will matter. Yes. Any other questions?
I've got one last one. How many days a week is the average placement? From experience, most placements are a full-time job, so it's a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Obviously, hours won't necessarily always be 9 to 5, but yeah, most people will be working 5 days a week on their placement year. It's generally a full-time job.
Did you ever find yourself working weekends on placement?
In my role doing consumer marketing, I worked events occasionally, so that would be at weekends, or occasionally I did. So part of my placement role, I ran an e-magazine show, so we filmed a live TV show basically for gaming, and that would go on into the evening. But how that worked at HP was you got that time back in lieu. So if you did work a weekend, you'd get an extra day holiday to use another time during the week if you wanted an extra day off to kind of make up for losing your weekend.
Yeah, mine was the same. We did a lot of truck shows and events at weekends, which sometimes would take up the whole weekend. But my company was really good about giving them back in lieu, so you got that time off. And also it was really important to attend events and things, because it gives you that experience beyond just doing, the normal day-to-day stuff. You get to experience and interact with customers and get those skills as well.
I found events were the fun bit of the job. You're outside of the office, you're meeting new people, you're getting to interact with customers and actually see the work you've been doing in the office happen in front of you in person. I would personally wouldn't find it much fun to sit in the office, plan a whole event and not even get to see it go live and be a part of that.
Thank you very much. I think we've got another question. Are there any resources you recommend reading before you start a marketing course? Well, yes, you can start reading. We don't especially recommend definite reading before you start with us. Work hard at your A-levels, that's what I would say. You can also consult many different websites on the internet offering some advice in marketing or some more readings in marketing, but make the most of your time also to boost your confidence, to discover possibly other skills. And once you join us, then you will have access to many marketing resources as well at the library. And I want you to bear in mind as well that our reading lists for the majority are based on electronic resources that are available via the library. So you are not expected to pay or buy expensive books at all. Andrew, any more?
I think the usual comment about if you're going to be joining us in the business school, it's quite good just to start familiarising yourself with business sections in the newspaper or these sorts of things, just to start trying to move your mindset towards thinking in a general business capacity, rather than, I know when I was younger I didn't really consider business before I went to university, but once I'd gone to university it was a different way of thinking about things. But just reading newspapers and business related magazines can just help you get into that sort of mindset before you join us.
Yes, a lot of those publications actually are available online, and a good one would be, for instance, to keep an eye on BBC business pages. I mean, it's very good. Something definitely you will have to do on the course is make sure that you know what's happening outside in the world. What political decisions, for instance, are made in relation to businesses, what is happening with businesses in terms of mergers, acquisitions, and obviously, within the current context of COVID-19, the economic situation is likely to change a lot. So before you join the course, then yes, please do continue reading the press and, keeping in tune with what's happening out there. Yes, definitely. Any other questions? I can't see any more questions. If you have any more questions, can you please put them through to us now? Or if you feel that we've answered most of your questions, and that's great, remember that you can always contact us. You've got my own details as program director, so do not hesitate to get in touch if we didn't answer a question, that you had in mind and didn't put through. So we're always there to support you, most definitely. Isabel, over to you. And thank you very much, by the way, Amber and Emily. Thank you very, very much for talking to your peers, basically talking to students considering Aston for a BSc in marketing.
No problem. I hope it was helpful.
Thank you very much. Isabel?
Yeah, thank you so much to everybody who spoke today. We hope that you really enjoyed the talk. If you are looking for other things to access throughout the open day, we've got some other chats and live events going on. Please do visit the open day page on Aston University's website. You can find some more information about admissions, careers and placements, support and wellbeing, and also student life. You can also get in touch with us. You can definitely get in touch with the academics here today, or our undergraduate admissions team if you have any specific requests or queries about our admissions process and how you go about applying to Aston. Thanks very much to everybody, yeah, it's the end of the event.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.